Can you hear me? Wonderful. All right. Can you imagine a better opening of the Pitch Arena stage here, being able to talk about, actually all in one, about the three topics we mentioned before: operational efficiency, adoption, and education. And we have much more to come today, so if you can hear me far in the back, feel free to come in, get your headset, and you can listen into it. I'm actually getting used to having it on my head. It seems even better than being on a normal stage where you can actually hear up close. It kind of even feels like a one-on-one with the speaker. So tune in if you're in the back, come sit down. There's some great panels to come. I just wanted to touch upon some of the things that Tracy did say there, right? It's not doom and gloom. The time is now, and there is a lot happening, not only, let's say, within Switzerland, but abroad in Africa and the likes. So, up next, we have diversified access to education from multiple different fronts. I think we've seen that university education was really where a lot of people went back in the day for higher education, and now people are going to TikTok and the likes. So you're going to have quite a diverse panel on stage now to be able to discuss all of these topics. So we have Naufa from the Dubai Media Corporation that is going to take it from there and give you a little bit on what it means to educate the public. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chaz, for the great introduction. Please, I want to welcome with me all our panelists. Go ahead, please come. Yes, yes, Ayumi, yes, Ian, yes, Nikhil.
I'm here, I'm here.
You are here, Gillian. So can you sit here, Gillian? I'm sorry. And Ian, please, here. Yes. So, good morning, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Here, it is my pleasure to welcome you to this panel discussion today as we explore the topic of diversifying access to blockchain with education. I see the counting down is going on. So, joining me in this panel, esteemed experts, each in its and her field for the contribution in the blockchain and education. Ian Inar Liv, Tallinn University of Technology Associate Professor of Big Data. With us today, Gillian Godsill, Founder and Editor-in-Chief for Block Leaders, IO. Also, Nikhil Joshi, Emergo, COO in Emergo. And last but not least, of course, Ayumi Moore Aoki, CEO, Founder and CEO of Women in Tech. I will start, because we are talking about blockchain and education, we'll start about the education, the formal with you, Inar. Inar, what is the level of integration of blockchain in the education, the formal traditional education and of course the modern online?
So first, welcome.
Thank you.
And thanks for inviting me and thanks for being here. So I would say that, so first, at least I teach.
Yes.
I have taught at the university for about 20 years. Of course, not so long for blockchain, but for the last 3 or 4 years we have been teaching blockchain in a university setting. And maybe the main distinction, what I would see from a university point of view, is that in university we try to teach the wide range of different target groups. Often in a crypto world or a crypto space, it's typically focused on teaching developers, maybe teaching the regulatory aspects, especially from the servicing side, or how to service the people who are developing and speculating. But at least from a university point of view, I would say that it's like super important to go beyond developers, to start teaching people like business analytics, legal scholars, not only to service but to come up with great ideas, to come up with businesses, to create those smart services. Yeah.
So it started already. It's not the way or the level that we wanted, but it is started already. Gillian, can you tell me, in your point of view, what are the primary barriers and challenges faced in providing blockchain education into wider audience, not only the student? What do you think?
Sure. Well, I think, as Ina said, in academia, it's a bit slow sometimes, no offense, but it is slow to adopt new technologies, and that takes a time. But not everybody is lucky enough to still be in academia. So if you're out in the big wide world, I'm a great believer in lifelong learning, so it's not just a single point in your life that you are learning. And how do you access information? And being part of the media, that's part of my role, is to present things, to explain things, to communicate things, because people, when they first come to this space, it is confusing. It's more confusing than regular technology. I actually genuinely, I'm in fintech 30 plus years, and I went, what? So it's my role to try to communicate and educate.
And simplify it and explain it through for all the ages, and we'll come back for the
all ages. Yes, thank you.
You are in the professional side now. How, in your point of view, has the current lack of education or access to blockchain education affected the adoption of blockchain?
Very much. So I think when we're talking about education, there is clearly the formal side, say university, school level, that kind of thing. For me, education is just more broadly awareness.
Yeah.
So you can't expect people to adopt a technology if they don't understand how it can be used. So for us as Emergo, where we are, our mandate is to facilitate commercial adoption of Cardano blockchain, but it has to start off with raising awareness in terms of there is this technology, it's a tech stack, here's ways in which it can be used.
Yeah.
And that is partly going to, say, a developer community so that they understand how the tech works, but equally going to a non-technology crowd so they can understand the application.
So you need more and more people, unfortunately, that they are not accessing for many reasons in the barrier that we said. So you're lacking more people. This is interesting. Not only lacking people educated in blockchain, but also there's a gender gap, Ayumi. Yes. So in your point of view, how we explain this gender imbalance? I know it exists in every aspect and every sectors, but can we explain it in the blockchain world as well?
Well, there's already a huge gender gap in technology, right?
Yes.
And so there was from Web 1 to Web 2 and now Web 3 that we're coming to. But also it's a very new technology that just started a couple of years ago. And I think women, because we're already in the technology, we've got maybe 20% or 25% representatives in the workforce. They start with a couple of leaps behind in the pathway. However, I do think that because it's a new technology, it's a new way also for women not to have to catch up with the gender gap in technology, but we can leap it, right? Because I think we're starting it right now, it's right in the early stage still. So I think if you really have this massive awareness with women around the world, and that's really our job with Women in Tech, what we are doing right now, we can really use it to catch up in a much quicker way than all the hundreds of years that are expected according to certain studies.
Yeah, we'll go back to you because I'm sure there are many initiatives, many examples that are bright and good. The only thing, it has to be more and multiplied. It is interesting to know from you. I know that Gillian said, I'm sorry, but you are, as a field university, are very slow. But I think they came around, universities and the formal traditional education, how hard it is to implement new curriculums that are dedicated to high-tech technology and especially blockchain.
So I think it's not a question about whether it's difficult, but still I would come back to what was previously mentioned about awareness. So at the university, we would always think that if we're talking about awareness, then awareness towards which group of people? Is it for those who would start to use a different kind of blockchain solutions, or is it for those who start to develop? And definitely, I would say that it's easier to start from the developer side, but I would say that the education has to go to the political science things. Cardano has this Voltaire, SIP 1694, and so on. We have to extend from developers to different.
I will say with you. Let me ask this question different way. Should we start the education blockchain from kindergarten, or we have to wait until someone explore? I want literature. No, I want technology. I want blockchain. That is in high school, for example, or university.
So, short answer to that, I think if there's the use case, then the kindergarten kids will learn them by themselves.
Okay.
So I would start teaching, somewhere maybe in either high school or at the university.
And interesting, interesting. Gillian, so how? I know that you met a lot of decision makers in your life. How can government, educational institution collaborate to create comprehensive educational program with all the traditional? Yes, that is much better because he was not. Thank you. Thank you so much. To make those programs and implement them.
I think, although we do look to government to do a lot of things, sometimes we expect too much of government, because government is traditional, it can be slow, it can take a while. And it's not that I'm a raging anarchist or anything like that, but sometimes we need to put things aside. And I think actually Ayumni's point where she said we can leapfrog technology. Now we know we're very much aware in Africa where with telecoms, people went straight from no telephone to a mobile. They didn't have the landline. So I think there will be that jumping. I think government will probably struggle. Well, I know Dubai is very advanced, but will struggle to catch up a bit. I think there is an element of that. And I think what I do like the idea that there's a whole way of thinking around blockchain and cryptocurrencies that's a little bit disruptive, you know, and it's kind of like we want to do things in a different way. Yeah. So I think that disruptive element is not bad because disruption brings change, brings new things to happen, and I think that's very powerful.
Nikhil, until the governmental regulator official part come around faster, in additional to the formal education, what are the resources of avenues, of ways that individuals or organization can pursue really a gain of knowledges in the blockchain? What are the others? If someone is interested, he's not going to a university now, he's not going to find the curriculum that he needs, where else can he find it?
Sure. So, coming to the earlier point, should you go to earlier than university level? Or, I think this plays part of that. I think the great thing is with the internet.
Yes. Why not?
You can access whatever you want. The question is not so much about access at that point. It's about the quality of the content.
Okay.
Right. So you can go onto YouTube and start learning about blockchain, but where do you start? Is it any good? Are you going to waste 10, 20 hours of your life watching something that turns out to be not fit for purpose? Right. There is, I think the great thing about blockchain, about crypto, is that you've got this very much strong sense of community, right? So away from just say the YouTubes as an example, you've got the actual community that you can harness, that you can leverage, and there is an ability to exchange ideas and come up the curve together. So there are numerous ways which are away from the formal setting of something like a university or more kind of institutionalized training where people can come up the curve. I think that the problem there is the quality, right? And how do you filter?
I will get back to you about the quality because I have a question for you. I want to go to Ayumi. Ayumi, is it really, whose role is it to show strategies that can be implemented to address the gender diversity gap in the blockchain or the tech industry? Is it yours, for example, with your...
I think it's everyone's responsibility. Otherwise, it's very easy to say, oh, why did they not do it? It's always, very easy to put the fault on someone else. I think we're all responsible if you really want change to happen. And so this is also our responsibility as women in tech to make sure that we have more women and girls around the world introduced to technology, whether they are in the first world countries, whether they're in Africa or in underprivileged areas in Brazil. And that's what we do. So we've got learning centers, for instance, in Burundi, in South Africa, in Brazil, where we have already taught over 1,000 girls introduction to blockchain.
What's the age?
So the age, we make sure they adolescents, and we try over 18 as well, because we also teach them how to have a wallet and things like that, so we want to make sure that they are at least major.
So this is an amazing, because you said starting with, you see how they are connected now. Starting with high school, they are doing it, this high school education training for that level or for that age, but it's not governmental actually. And this is why really it's appreciated.
They're very scared. They don't know what, they've heard about blockchain, but most of them know the term, but they don't know what it actually really means.
Yeah, that's why I always go back to what you said, awareness. How governments are not aware of this, how Minister of Education and Higher Education are not aware. I think they are aware, so what's stopping them? How to overcome this resistance to have this education on blockchain, in your point of view?
I would say that maybe it's not even the role of the government. Maybe the role of the government is to stay away in some part and just let things to progress.
This will happen.
And if we were mentioning for example, women in tech, then I would say that it's also main responsibilities for the entrepreneurs. Basically, you don't ignore the half, so it doesn't make sense. But regarding the awareness, I think one issue also is that it cannot be boring. So the question could be that that maybe we have to go from YouTube format to TikTok format. So basically, how would you teach teach blockchain in 20-second clips or 60-second clips?
So in your point of view, there are no reason to invest in. I'm just saying thing, not putting words in your mouth, but you will correct me. It's okay if it's not in the government universities and education and not implemented in the curriculum of the high school, as long as we invest in the parallel one, in the internet, in the TikTok, is that what you are saying? It's okay if you are behind in the formal education?
Not necessarily. I would say that the governments don't have to force it, because also in universities and also in high schools, so they are creative people. Even teachers or university professors, they see what is necessary and what the market is demanding and what is necessary. So I would say that you don't have to push it, top down from the government.
But those experts or professors are not going to be able to implement curriculum that is not fit with the curriculum given by the minister.
But at the university, at least in Estonia, there is no limit. So you just you think that basically the number of people enrolling show whether it's interesting or not, whether people say that it's necessary.
I'm from Tunisia, I wouldn't see any curriculum that is implemented by a professor that is not accepted by a ministry. I wouldn't even dream about this. So Estonia, maybe it's another case. That's why I kept asking you this question. I will get back to you, Nikhil. Julian, we are talking about age, and we are talking about, let's start with from high school, for example, and kindergarten if it's possible, why not? But there's a limit in the age to go into the blockchain?
No. And thank you so much for asking that question. I was going to say before you ask that question that we're talking about education here, and blockchain is not just the technology. Technology is wonderful, use cases are wonderful, all the things that it can change is wonderful. But to understand this whole industry is to understand the concept of money, of value, things that we have to rethink in our brain, because we've inherited situations which do not serve us, many of us, well. And it's to rethink how can we change this all around. So part of that rethinking, in terms of education, so it's definitely how to think about the world. And in age, every day is a school day.
Yeah.
And we were joking inside in the green room, and I'm going, who's here in their 50s? Anybody here in their 50s?
No. I'm not yet in my 50s, but I have grey hair.
Okay, well, I'm the older lemon in the room here, whatever. But it's just, it's never too late.
Yes.
I went through activism, I went through a lot of different things, and then I chanced upon blockchain in my 50s, and I went, whoa, my life is not over. There are things that I can do, how I can change the world, how I can help other people, rethink things, disrupt. And I'm not an anarchist, so I'm like a middle-aged, middle-class lady. Do you know what I mean? I'm not an anarchist. But I like the idea of disrupting stuff and making things better. And the other thing I want to say too as well, which is really important for me in this sector, this is not a zero-sum game. We're not in a dog-eat-dog environment. What I love, and you mentioned community, Nikhil, this is community, and this means we can help lots of people. And that, to me, is the joy of being in this sector. It's education, it's women, it's like old birds like me that go, whoa, I can have a career again, a new career, and do things. And I've got grown-up children, grown-up girls. I can make the world a better place for them and for everybody. It's not just my family, it's everybody. So age is not an impediment. Every day's a school day, and let's rethink how we do things, because the old ways do not really serve us very well.
They're very slow, like you said. Nikhil, I will take her point and come back to the quality, because you all said that blockchain is a community. So my question with linking to the quality and the community, how can industry leaders, blockchain here, professionals, experts, contribute to the educational effort and help bridge the knowledge gap for individuals, since the normal formal education is not working? Meaning, why don't you invest in the education platforms concerning and about blockchain?
Sure. So I think an answer to the first part of that is that I agree with Ayumi. It's not incumbent on one person or one organization to solve for all of it. This is a multi-layered or multifaceted kind of prong of attack that we need here, going from an individual to an organization to an institution to at the governmental level, right? But I also think it's not binary in that it's solely incumbent on governments or it's solely incumbent on us a lot, right? So it's on part of both, and ultimately it's what do you want to use it for? So if a particular government sees that there is a application, right, a particular trade activity, for example, that they can facilitate, that they can augment by introducing this technology into their GDP, shall we say, then they are incentivized to provide that education. So that creates a certain base layer, right? But it doesn't have, again, it can come from the private sector. Now, to come to the second part of your question, well, we do. We have Emergo Academy, right? And so we provide content that is very much around how do you build on Cardano. We will increasingly go to content that allows non-tech folks to understand how does the tech work. So it all comes back to application. But for me, it's very much around how do you want to use this technology. You can't ram this stuff down someone's throat, right? And say, just use the blockchain, right? You have to, people need to understand what can they use it for.
Yeah. Right. We can use it for the day-to-day also life as well.
There's many uses.
Or to have work, to get access
into
absolutely.
And
jobs.
To Jill's point a second ago, so I'm 4 years off 50, but still, like,
catching up.
you know, I have reinvented myself from banking into this space. Right? It allowed me to do it, and it's great. I feel revitalized. I don't feel 46, but I feel 26.
I'm 29, actually.
Right, but you know, that's just a very easy example of how new technology allows new things, or for people to try new things in a different space.
It's really interesting, and it's really appealing to people now. It's very inspiring also, Gillian. Ayumi, I'm really more interested now to hear examples, initiatives that you did or can be done for young people to make them aware and to give them this knowledge about blockchain and high tech, and women, of course.
Sure. So, for instance, the program I spoke about just now in Burundi, they really have like an initiation on blockchain. We make wallets. But we're also trying to make it fun, because I think project-based, when they see what they can do, that's really the nice part of it. So for instance, when we were in South Africa for the Women in Tech Africa Awards a couple of weeks ago, what we did, we had a summit in the morning, and we spoke to them and explained to them the whole course on what is blockchain, what's Web3, the metaverse, NFTs, and then we had like an atelier where they had to, with paint, so they painted them like an avatar of themselves, like different faces, and then we created an NFT of that painting, and then we put it in our, it's like an online, like a metaverse museum, the gallery, where they could see it afterwards, their painting become an NFT and go into the gallery in the metaverse.
Oh, nice.
That was super nice. So there was like
smiles on our faces, Ayumi.
Yes. So the women, the girls, they loved it.
Yeah.
So they can really see, how they can use it in a very fun way.
Fun way. Yes. So, because you mentioned a lot of things about blockchain that can be used in a fun way, let me ask you...
a non-fun way.
In a more formal way. What kind of skills now, knowledges area that should be prioritized when it comes to designing a blockchain, for example, program in the education or a curriculum?
So I would emphasize three. So number one is IT, which would be developers and analytics. Second would be legal studies, not just for servicing the blockchain industry, but also to come up with new business ideas. And third one would be political science, all the intersect and governance and stuff that is going on.
Yeah.
But I think three different themes for those to join them in the end, and we can see.
It's an amazing thing to have all those and I think they are doable, actually. It's not hard. Gillian, give me an example. Did you reach to what you call, and you want to call, old women? I don't feel it's all that 50, but it's okay. You said it, I didn't. Yeah. Did you reach to them? Did you manage to bring them life starts here with this new technology? Don't be afraid of it. Did you reach them?
I do that a lot. So I have a couple of radio programs back in Ireland, and I do a lot of podcasts, and I do a lot of writing, and I write for the Irish Times as well as for Web3 publications. And I socialize, and I come out and I meet people, and even though I'm harping on about being old, and I don't feel old, whatever, but I have such energy. I'm like Nikhil here. I'm like going, whoa, let me at it. It's so exciting, and I think that's a really positive thing, because people often think, women especially, when they hit 50, they become invisible. And I'm going, and also it's not just women. This is this whole area is all about thinking differently. So while I agree with your 3 points, I also think there's this whole diversity bit going on, going, whoa, what could I do here? And I think that opens many doors, and it could be artistically, it could be in writing, it could be in tech, it could be in talking or leading groups, is what Ayumi is doing with her women across the world. So I think it's that opening of it. We're not like into these little, you know, education has been traditionally very much like teaching. Was it Bismarck? That's why we're all in classrooms, because Bismarck wanted to teach his soldiers, whatever. You know, so it's a very old-fashioned way of teaching. I think this technology and this
opens more horizons.
It opens things, and that's what I love.
I will stay, Nakhil. It's important what you said, because you mentioned the Emergo Education Academy, correct? Yeah. So. How can you ensure the access to blockchain education that is equitable, inclusive, regardless of socio-economic status or geographical location as well? For starting from your academy.
Okay, well, ultimately we're a commercial organization. Yeah. So we know who we can go after, but we can't try and boil the ocean.
Okay.
Yeah. Could we offer education to anyone and everyone in all the sort of formats and contents, the gamification and everything that we've touched on here? We would love to, but we've got to walk before we can run, right? So we're on a journey of, okay, here's some content, and as I said, it's typically focused on the Cardano developer side of things, and we're making some of that content free. Right, so because we want to bring people in, we can't put a great big price tag on it and then expect
people to roll
exactly
on.
Right, because there's different demographics, there's different price capabilities, etc., etc. So it's a way of creating a funnel for us, and over time we will expand that product set. We will expand how we go to people, in what format can they learn. Right, at the moment it's not for everyone, and that's fine. We can't we can't expect to boil the ocean, but I think it is a journey, right? And I want to come back to this raising the awareness point. Please. So away from the kind of the structured education, it is about within the community, so that individuals can connect with each other, working with governments. Like, I'm a big fan of layer ones being at the table with regulators to say, hey, that yes, you should be talking to the exchanges and the trading platforms and whatnot who are engaged in possibly regulated activity, but you need to understand what the base tech does. Yeah. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater because you don't like certain aspects of this, right? And so that's an education in my mind as well.
Did it start to change this barrier, this resistance from the regulators with you? Did it start, or still not yet?
There's a spread, right? So you can see, we're in Dubai, right? It's very friendly in this capacity. We're headquartered in Singapore, again, very friendly. Large parts of Asia are actually getting increasingly friendly, and I guess the counterpoint is the US, which seems to be wanting to shoot itself in the foot, right? And so there's a spread, and part of it is knowing how to interact and negotiate with the audience that you have. Again, I don't think you can win the argument, lose the sale, I think applies here, right?
I think, yeah.
So how do you influence for the audience that you have?
Yeah.
Right, and now some people will be willing to engage, certain regulators, certain people will be willing to engage, and some people will be apathetic. And so you need to understand, or we collectively need to understand, well, where do we put our resource depending on where they are on that scale of apathy or volition.
Yeah. Interesting. Ayumi, you work hardly within your foundation or company to minimize this gap in the tech and blockchain company. Who are your partners? What can be done to make it faster?
So one of our partners is Cardano Foundation. So they really help us a lot. And now they're also having the Cardano Academy, I think, that's going to be launched very, very soon. So with the courses that they give us, and with the finance as well, then it allows us to be able to teach the courses to the women around. So we also work a lot with Binance Charity. So Binance Charity and with Cardano Foundation. And what we need is always funds, you know. We can't go around. Like without money, we can't do anything. So we do have we have a huge community. We have over 250,000 women around the world. We've got 50 chapters. We've got a whole lot of volunteers, of people really excited. But if you don't have funding at the end, or I'd say in the beginning, it's difficult to drive it forward, right? Because we have got like centers, once again, around the world. And so for these centers, we have to pay for the personnel, we have to pay for things. So this is really what hinders, what pushes us back and doesn't allow us to go as fast as we would like to, but definitely does not stop us.
Of course, and this is an amazing job. I will end with one round of questions. I will start with you. What are some long-term goals and outcomes that you hope to achieve through diversifying the access to blockchain education? What do you want from this if we meet this goal?
So maybe I would answer it in a very short way that it would just work. So that basically the end goal should be that everybody would use the technology, let's say, at least once a day.
Yeah.
If we achieve that in whatever way, whatever road,
you succeeded.
That's fine. And I do agree with Jill that we need to discuss also the other issues like what is money and all those kind of things. But still, if people use it or don't use it, that's the difference.
Gillian, what is the future of blockchain education in your point of view after you saw all the point of view from different fields?
I was going to steal Inard's piece. He said just work. I'm saying just do. Just do.
Yeah,
go off and do it. Start. And I think, do you know what I mean? There's a lot of energy in this panel. And I think that's very, very powerful. That we're at a tech conference because we were born but we're not. We're energized. So I think take that energy and just go do.
From the expert professional point of view, the future of education in the blockchain, what do you see it?
So, mid-1980s, we bought a TV with a remote control, and my dad didn't know how to use it. My 5-year-old daughter can whiz through Netflix and
she
whatever.
Can make an application.
Yeah, so it's normalization, right?
Yeah.
And so when we're talking about should it be uni level, should it be lower than uni level, it's just ultimately it's language. Right, and so you can learn it super early on, and the foundation layer will just increase. So there's just a working knowledge, and for people to understand, what can I do with it? What do I want to do?
Yeah.
And when will it allow me to do that?
I think always I come back to your first answer, awareness. The end of this panel with you, Ayumi, a message that you want to give to all the parties that you work with, a message to the women also.
Well, to the women and to the men, I think we have to come. This is really the space where we can find some kind of diversity, inclusion, and gender parity. And I think it's up to everyone, not only the women, but also the men, to make sure that they're bringing people from different, from different.
We are good.
Exactly.
We are really good in this. Include us. Thank you so much, Inard, Gillian, Nikhil, and Ayumi. Thank you. It's an amazing topic. The more I talk about this, the more I have questions about it, but the time is up. Thank you so much. Thank you for all of you being here, and wish you all the best and have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.